It's time. Let's get this thing started. Thank you. Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having
Um,
me.
Dave's got I'm really excited for this presentation. He's technically the last breakout session of the day, but certainly not least. And if you have some brain cells left, use them to absorb this, take some notes, and or watch the recording afterwards. So, um, yeah, I'll give you a little intro, Dave, and then it'll be all yours to go through some of this stuff. So Dave Scaturro is a vice president of Alpine Painting and Sandblasting, a leading commercial and industrial painting contractor in the US. He's known for building strong, performance-driven teams and for developing long-term partnerships with clients. Dave brings a leadership style grounded in accountability, service, and smart hiring. So on that note of hiring, this session is titled Hiring a Salesperson Who Delivers Results. Hiring a salesperson or sales rep sounds like a great idea, but if they don't deliver results, then big waste of time and money. So excited to hear your thoughts on that. And just a reminder, the Q&A tab on the right of your screen, that's the best place to throw your questions in, and we'll try to get to them at the end. It's all yours,
Great.
Dave.
Jaden, thank you so much for the great intro. Thank you to PaintScout for putting this event on. And thank you all for attending and listening in. I hope you learned something. I'm going to do my absolute best to get through these slides. It's going to be on the quick side, so buckle up. And because I really want to save some time for Q&A, I think that's where people can have their questions answered. Again, you got an intro about me, but I'm a second generation painting contractor. I've been at this full time for almost 25 years now. This is our 50th year in business. Today, I'll be talking a lot about sales and sales management. And one of the biggest roles that I hold here at Alpine is sales manager for the commercial division. This can apply to residential contractors, but there'll probably be a spin on commercial. So, what are we talking about? We are going to be talking about how to find the right salesperson, setting your sales reps up for success. What does that mean? Education, programs, platforms, and SOPs. We're going to talk about how to get them ready and understand your company information and having a plan, how they should be shadowing and learning from your existing reps. What are the expectations around prospecting and networking? And then once you get a job, how do you award it? What does the walkthrough look like? How do you follow up with your clients and eventually close them out? And then again, Q&A at the end. So half the battle, once you know that you want to grow and you need more salespeople in your company, is how do you find them? We have hired over 30 salesmen since I've been here in the last 20 something years, and some work out and some don't. We find that they have the best chance of sticking if you follow a plan. So for us, it's about recruiting them. The platforms that we use to recruit right now are our social media posts, kind of blasting it out, not only just saying that we are looking for a salesperson, but actually creating some video content around what does the ideal candidate look like. We post a job ad that's really unique on platforms like LinkedIn and Indeed. Indeed seems to be the best fit for us as far as getting the best return. And then we try and minimize our time as we go through to select who is the right person to interview, right? Because you want to interview somebody in depth to get a feel for who they are, but you don't want to be interviewing and spending a lot of time interviewing the wrong people. So how do you do it? We minimize our time by creating automated questionnaires. If they're not going to fill out the questionnaire, they're not going to be considered. In some cases, we ask them to fill out a 90-minute questionnaire, which is a deep dive into some of their personality skill sets to see if they're the right fit. Once we find somebody that scores high on that, we call them and we want to hear their communication skills. If they can speak coherently on the phone, they're probably a good fit for the interview. If they're not, if they're fumbling over their words, if they have a really heavy accent, you can't understand them, they're probably not the right fit for a salesman. Then we go into our interviews. We have 3 rounds. The first round is just asking them questions, getting a feel for, are they overpowering the conversation? Are they knowledgeable about your company and the position? Have they had experience in sales in the past? Or do they have the right personality and traits to really be a good fit? So we're asking deep culture questions about, give me an example of a difficult situation that you had to deal with and how you worked through it. Or, tell me a time when you had an upset client or individual with you and how did you work through that? Or talk to me about your personal development. So those are like deeper questions that are going to probably catch them off guard, and you get to see how they are on the fly. If they make it past that, round 2 is we go into a deeper personality assessment. We've used caliper or disc. We compare the results that they have to some of our key successful salesmen, because we truly think that they should have this drive inside them. They should be able to connect with people in order to be successful in a sales role. And then the final interview is we're talking about the specifics of the job, about the compensation package, about their goals that they needed to hit. We have a non-compete, non-solicitation that they have to sign. There's background checks. There's ultimately an offer letter. And in that meeting, we have our leadership team, and they're shooting them with questions. So this is a kind of a detailed dive into getting the right person, and that's half the battle. Because if you have the wrong person, you're spinning your wheels. You're training somebody who's ultimately not going to work out, not going to hit the number. So I would argue this is the most important piece of the puzzle. All right, once you got the person on board, let's set them up for success. I always like to say when we have any new hire, make them feel like they're the most important person at the party that first week of work. You should be doing things ahead of time to set the table for success, meaning their desk is set up, right? Or they have a workstation, there's a computer, they have a phone, you get them the swag bag with the apparel. If they have a vehicle that you're providing that's clean and ready to go. We have a new hire orientation video that they're watching. We're really trying our best to make them feel comfortable, make them feel welcomed and valued. We do this again with any new hire. We have the same concept. We treat our customers really well. We treat our employees even better. I bolded this next bullet point because I think this is a key that a lot of people overlook. Having a clear position description with revenue and gross profit goals and milestones is critical to the success of this new hire. They need to know what success looks like. They need to have that roadmap on how to get there. They need to have these milestones and checkpoints along the way so that they know what is the first, second, third, 10th thing that they need to do in order to meet your expectations. And a lot of people have this boilerplate, basic position description, which I would argue doesn't do the trick. Now, you can work your way around it through training and hands-on, but again, having everything detailed, having the checklists in place go a long way. After we introduce them to all our key staff, then we jump into the key documents that we need to review so they understand who our company is. It's the mission, vision, values concept. We have an org chart and we show them where they place on that, and we talk about where they can go on that, right? So we let them know there's a career ladder and they can grow within our company. We have core values. We have 3, and then we have a top 10 list for each one. We have a 5-year guiding document. It talks about our 5-year vision and where our company is going to be in 5 years. It breaks it down into 3 priorities and then approximately about 30 company goals. And we talk about which goals that they'll be a part of. And then we have a lot of meetings. Our salesmen typically are part of 3 main meetings. That'll be our monthly sales meeting with our entire team. We have a weekly huddle. It's a 30-minute huddle with all our salesmen, and they talk about their accountability metrics that they need to hit. And they have a spotlight of 1 minute out of 30 minutes. And then we do monthly one-on-ones. So I have about 5 direct reports, and each one of those has about an hour one-on-one with me every month. Next piece is getting them educated on our industry. Some successful salesmen that work for us came from a different industry, so they don't even know all the ins and outs of paint. So we've got to really break it down and simplify it. We talk about our programs, our platforms, and some of our SOPs to make them more comfortable. Those include our tech stack. So our tech stack includes HubSpot as a CRM, PaintScout as our estimating program, SharePoint for our file share system, Outlook for email and calendar, and then Procore is our project management system. Those are the 5 pieces in our tech stack that they're going to have their hands in, and we do weekly training for each one so that they get comfortable and they know how to use it, and they can manage through each one of the systems. Then we have them meet with our paint reps. We have some really great paint reps that have been partners with us for a long time. So we put together a half-day session where they're asking them questions about common coatings that we're using, what are the right primers, how do we match into the right top coats, what coatings are intended to go over different substrates, etc. And we get them clear on our paint pricing and how we order the material and all the nuances of paint. Then we go over common coating failures, right? They're going to be out in the fields. We commonly work with direct to owner, so they're meeting with commercial clients in the field and they're looking at problems. Why is this paint peeling, fading, chalking, cracking? How do we fix it? So we get them hooked up with coating failures and how we fix those failures. Then we ask them to invest their time in reading PCA's Estimating Guide Volume 1 and 2. These are like the core competencies around how to estimate. And then finally, we have them study our universal proposals. So we have universal proposals per markets, and they're going to be reviewing things like what are the common scope of work that you'll find, what is the layout that we're using, what is the surface prep, the different coating systems, and some common conditions and exclusions that they'll be commonly using in their proposals and language and word tracks. After education, we have them visit our website and we have them really get clear on what are the divisions, target markets, and services that we provide. Because our company's pretty big, there's a lot to it, and we like to cross-sell. So even though they're going to be a pro maybe in the commercial division, they still need to understand a little bit about the flooring services that we provide or the common industrial services that may cross over some of the welding services that we provide. So after they get a good handle on Alpine Painting as a whole, we familiarize them with our marketing materials. We get them hooked up with how to sequence with sending out email marketing campaigns. What are the cut sheets that we're going to bring to our clients when we're doing an initial walkthrough? And they're really going to be sitting down with a sales manager, in many cases for the commercial division, that's me. And we're going to start crafting who's going to be their ICP, their ideal customer profile. What does it look like? What's the demographic, geographic location? What is the target market? What is the size company that we're going after? All these very specific things so that we can create target lists. Target lists, we go through Zoom info and we get, depends on the market and the criteria we put in, but we try and target about 25 clients per target market. And we're constantly refreshing that to add, bring in, or move up clients or move them out. We review the cookbook, which for us is our cadence on how you prospect and what are your output expectations, how many proposals you need to write a week, if how many estimates you're going to go to, what is the close rate, how does that align to your goals per month, so that can hit your overall company goal for the year. They join sales training, and there's accountability sheets to keep them on track. And then we review simplified documents like our one-page sales plan and how they time block in our calendar. So these are kind of like the tactics that we're drilling down into. Then they're shadowing, right? So they're tailing our seasoned salespeople. They're doing that 1 to 2 times a week. The more than they can absorb information about what are the word tracks that we're using, how what are the questions that we're teeing up for our clients, the better they are to be more prepared when they fly solo. So a lot of it starts about just with qualifying, right? We're fortunate, we have a great marketing engine. We get a lot of inbound leads. When those leads come in, we qualify hard to make sure that they're a fit. So we're turning away a lot of these leads. And in turn, how do we do that? We have to ask the right client, make sure they're a fit for ICP. And we want to understand kind of what their needs are and ask the right questions, again, to create alignment. Once we have somebody on the hook, fish is on, it's how do we kind of move that through our system. So we utilize a CRM, HubSpot. We're putting the company information, the client information into the system. It's going into our pipeline. That'll sync up to our calendar invite. It'll sync up to our estimating program. There's confirmation calls and materials that we need to be prepared for ahead of time before we even meet them. And then once they're on the estimate and they're telling the salesperson, we're talking about things like how do we bond and create rapport? What are the scope questions? How do we clarify what their needs are or go over the expectations? How do we actually do the takeoff, the estimating piece of it? How are we measuring, identifying substrates, taking pictures? And then talking about budgets, right? Talking about what is the cost of the project? How much do you think this project's going to cost you, or have you prepared something? We're talking about money, and we're trying our best to at least tee up a close on the spot if it's there, or to budget and bracket so that we can get on the right page as far as where our quote needs to be. Because there's always that A job, whether it's top dollar and they're going to expect top value, or it could be that C or D job, which is get in and get out, make it look pretty for a short period of time. And then there's always next steps. Every salesman, the number one best word is next steps, because there's always something that they need to do next. Prospecting, networking. This is a big buzz for us. Last year, I think for a lot of contractors, was a tougher year than we've seen in the past. And it's more important than ever to be prospecting and networking and putting yourself out there. You can't just rely on the leads and opportunities to come to you. You need to go out and get them. And that's what we do. We are hunters. We put on the war paint this year, and we're going out and going after our clients. So what do? It's 25 calls a week to each target market. The goal is to move that client up the target list or get them off the target list. We want 4 touches per month per client. So that could be an email, that could be a phone call, that could be a drop-in. There's so many different touch points. Those 3 are the biggest ones. We are trying to get our clients into email sequences. So it's just a push a button and then they get dripped on over a course of 2 months, and they get approximately 4 emails over that period of time. Once we do get them on the horn, we're asking for meetings. We want that face-to-face time. We want an opportunity to meet them and create a relationship, because as Matt brought up in the last session, in sales, especially commercial, it's about relationships. People buy from people who they like and trust, and we want to be one of those people. If we can't get the meeting, we're asking them to put us on their bidders list. Do you have a pre-qualification package that you can send over to me so I can get set up in your system as a vendor when you need me? You know, this is a great next step. Thanks, I don't have any painting projects. It's not uncommon. Most people don't have a painting project every time I call. Be nice if they did, but I know that you're a massive company, and we work with several other companies very similar to yours. And when you start name dropping some of the bigger ones, if it's a pharmaceutical company, you're dropping names like we work with Novartis and Merck and Hoffman La Roche, and they go, their ears perk up. They go, oh, wow, this guy obviously knows all the big guns out there. So maybe I do want to work with them. Hey, look, all I would like to do is to get a place at the table when you do have an opportunity. So please send me over your pre-qual package. I'll fill it out. We'll get vetted in your system. We have all the proper insurance. We get you any and everything we need to be a partner of yours, so that when you have a project, I could be a resource for you and hope to earn your business one day. There's really no reason they're going to say no to that. Networking, which is another big piece of this. Join a networking group. A lot of guys I've heard, because I've been on these calls talking about networking groups. We're no different. We want every one of our salesmen to be involved with at least one networking group. You attend the monthly events. You tell other salespeople to be a partner with them, to support them, because two is better than one at these networking events. You join a committee, you get involved, and you create relationships with not only future customers, but also business allies. All right, so now we have the job. All right, we got one. We got a fish on. This is a beautiful thing. What do we do next? Well, we have to award it, and we have a special way that we do that in our system. It gets awarded through HubSpot, which passes to SharePoint, which notifies our team we got a job on. Then it's the salesman's responsibility to set up some time to do a pre-job walkthrough. In that meeting, it's the customer, it's the salesperson slash estimator, it's the project manager, it's our crew lead. Every single time we do a job, whether it's 5,000 or 500,000, we're doing a pre-job walkthrough. If it's a really involved project that has a lot of moving parts, we'll do a kickoff meeting in our shop with that team minus the customer to be prepared for that walkthrough so we can hit it out of the park. Everybody knows, again, what success looks like. That one piece of advice, if you guys can be disciplined enough to do it, will change your business for the better. You will not miss these little minor issues that turn into big issues. You will continue to get those 5-star reviews. That is gold. So I highly recommend everyone take advantage of that. All right. And then your goal during that walkthrough, that pre-job walkthrough, is to walk the project, review the scope, and then hand off the job to your project management team. Your PMs should be ready after you go over the scope to jump in and now be the main point of contact, to give them their business card, to let them know that they're going to be running the job, any questions they can handle, to get you out of project management and into selling your next job. Your goal after that is to just stay in the loop, right? It's sporadic check-ins, just want to make sure everything's going smooth as you thought. If there's any issues, I'm here. But you should be getting regular updates from your management team. I get a daily update on every single project. If there's a challenge or problem, things went right or wrong, I want to know about it so that I can get back in and have a touch point and kind of soften the blow if there is one, and let the client know from my mouth versus them finding out about it and then they coming to me, right? If there's any change orders, I get back involved, but overall, my management team runs that job up until it's ready to be closed out. And then I jump back in at the closeout. Why? We call it a bounce meeting because we want to bounce right from this job into what's next. So we close out the job and we talk about we handled this, we did that, you expected this, and we met it. Any issues we're going to take care of. You happy with the job? Oh, I'm so glad you are. Hey, we grow our business by word of mouth. If you'd be willing to give me a review or even better, a referral, it would be a blessing and really help me get my next project. Is that something you'd be willing to do? If I send you over the link right now for a 5-star review, would you be willing to leave us one by end of day or by end of week? I don't want to be a pain in the neck, but it really means a lot to me. Or is there anybody else that you would know maybe in this business park or other larger business like your own? It could be a good referral for us. So you're asking for future business, right? This is really important. So I know I went really fast. I went hard in the paint. I talked about a lot, and I went through it quickly, but that's because, again, I wanted enough time for Q&A. So now is your time to open it back up. If there's any questions, now's the time to ask. I can go back to these slides if you want, or just fire away.
Thanks, Dave. That was great. Yeah, amazing information, very helpful. I think it's like along the same theme as a lot of the sessions today. It's just nice to hear how someone else is doing it, how they're thinking about it. Oh, that checks off the way I was thinking about it, or that's different, or get ideas. And so I think that you really nailed that and appreciate that. There's a couple questions in the Q&A. Definitely throw some more in there if you have them. Sean did say through the presentation, this is light years ahead of me, but encouraging and informative. So there
You
you
got
go.
it, Sean.
Lots to catch up on, and we can go back through the slides and recording to yeah, see all the information again. A couple questions here. How do you know when someone isn't working out? How long do you give someone at the start?
Yeah, great question. So, right from the start, we tell our new hires they got 90 days. It's a 90-day evaluation. You got 90 days to earn your place at the table. And we have milestones that they need to hit in order to be there. One of those milestones, believe it or not, is not sales. A lot of people say, "Oh no, I'm going to give them 3 months, and unless they hit, 100,000 in sales in 3 months, they can't stay here." I'm not expecting that, especially in the commercial business. There's a longer lead time and sales cycle, so it's harder for them to actually close business in a short period of time. What I am looking for is activity, work ethic, and attitude. So if they've got a great attitude and even better work ethic, if they're showing me through their actions, they're making the cold calls, they're sending out the emails, their calendar is blocked out, they're tailing the salesman, they're doing all the things that I'm asking them to do, they earn their place at the table and the sales will come.
Yeah, great. That's a great answer. Some other ones, and not necessarily about hiring a sales rep, but I think they just want to hear your opinions. Uh, how do you know how long for an equipment rental or boom lift?
How
Was
do I
one of the questions.
Yeah, I mean, it really depends on how long you're going to be on the job, right? So, I was just looking at it. I look at my crew size, I look at my total labor hours, and I look at, my time frame, and maybe that means I'm going to need that equipment for a week or I'm going to need it for a month.
Yeah, absolutely. Colton's asking what percentage of your business is sandblasting. Says he can't find it here in Colorado. And it's an interesting option.
Yeah. So, sandblasting is a form of surface preparation that is commonly done on the industrial side of our business. Industrial today makes up about 40% of our business, and on our industrial projects, about half of them incorporate sandblasting services. So, I would say totally about 20% of our business is sandblasting, and that would include in the field and in house in my shop facility.
Right on. Matt's asking, do the salespeople push back on having to do the project kickoffs, assuming they'd rather do sales stuff than project stuff? How do you align the teams?
Yeah. They did initially. Like, so we didn't always do project kickoffs, especially for smaller projects. And, when we had to kind of get them back into it and say this is a mandatory thing, there was a little bit of pushback, especially from some of the seasoned vets. But we started tracking net promoter scores, like clients that are happy or unhappy. And we found that when we didn't do a kickoff meeting, our net promoter score was about 30% less. And it was because we didn't iron out the little details that were picked up in the initial estimate, right? That were communicated through that aren't on the paperwork, but they were discussed somewhere along the ways that never got transferred over to your management team. So by having those initial kickoffs, even on the small jobs, they save problems, time, challenges, and they create happy clients.
Hmm. Someone's asking, your recruitment process is very thorough for somebody starting out and going basically from an owner operator to hiring their first rep. Is there kind of like maybe a first approach without implementing the entire system that they could pull off?
Yeah. I would say I would start with a really unique job ad. Our job ads aren't like, you need to work 45 hours a week. I expect you to, work hard, be professional. It's like, hey, do you want to work for a fun company where your boss respects you? Give Alpine a shot. Like, be different than everybody else. Get them, do a video, right? And you can literally do that with your phone, do a selfie video where you're talking into the camera about the cool things if they do come and work here, how you're going to support them, how, they're going to have an opportunity to really grow in the ranks, how sales is one of those unique positions that the more you sell, the more you can make. There's a clear justification how I can pay you more money if you
Mhm.
contribute more. People love that. Like, talk about the little nuanced stuff that makes your company different than everybody else. And you don't have to be the big company to do that. and you'll eventually find the right person. Do you need to put them through all the, the personality assessments and all these different steps? No, you don't. You might get lucky and find that person right out of the gate where you connect with. We have this thing we call it the 4-hour car ride. And after that third interview, if you're talking to this guy and they're saying all the right things, they have the right resume, but for some reason you're like, I cannot see myself going on a 4-hour car ride with this guy. I'll push him out the fucking door. Like, don't hire him. Don't hire him. He's not a culture fit. Don't hire her. We literally just had that. It got to the third interview, and at the end of this thing, I had half the people that are like, I love him, and the other half were like, I don't know, something's off. And I just yelled out, 4-hour car ride. He is going to upset the herd. He may be good at his role, but I don't want to work alongside this guy. He's so quirky and weird, and he's driving me nuts in the 3 interviews we've had. Don't hire that person.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good assessment. Yeah, if you're not willing to go on a road trip with somebody, that's a red flag. Um, Someone specifically on that note asked, how do you set people up for the ride along during the interview? Do you ever have any issues trying to set that part up?
Ride-alongs are just a basic part of learning your position as a salesperson. And most of our new hires are excited about ride-alongs, because they know that they're going to be that quiet person in the background and learning. So, when I bring them on the estimate, I don't necessarily tell the person, not my client or prospect, until I get there, but I say, hey, Jim, this is Tom. He's training with us as a new salesman. I'm super excited. He's just going to be kind of listening in and taking notes, because I hope that one day, maybe he'll take over your account and be your point of contact. But for today, he's just training. And that's it. And then they just listen. They're taking notes the entire time. And then we get back into the car. I'm asking them a series of questions about what they picked up. They're asking me questions about the process in and of itself. And that's a great way to really absorb how we do it and listen in for the questions that we ask and the word tracks that we use, and just get a better understanding of our processes and systems.
Yeah, no, that's great. Uh, there's always a risk of this, but there was a question about, have you gone through all of this and hired somebody, trained them only for them to quit, and maybe quit to go do their own thing because they feel like they've
Yeah.
learned a bunch.
Yeah. So that's, it's funny. There's this old saying that says, yeah, imagine you spent all this time and you worked with them and you trained them and then they quit. And I like to say, well, imagine you don't train them, you don't teach them, and they stay. It's like,
Hmm.
I want to take the risk. I want to give them the absolute best opportunity to succeed. And if at a certain point in time they determine that they want to go on their own, I'll support them in that and be happy for them. Okay. Because that's just the way I feel, because I want the best. If they gave me everything they had and worked their ass off for me, I want to give them everything that I have. It's a two-way street in this regard. So I am not fearful. I have this abundance mindset. I don't get nervous that somebody's going to quit. And I try and, again, treat my employees better than my clients.
Yeah, that's a really good thought and good thing to kind of keep in the back pocket. Yeah, it's not a common thing to think of. Um, this one's a little more practical, so it could be a range of ways of answering. But as a small business trying to hire their first sales team member with limited budget, what does a typical offer look like, or what could it look like?
It depends on their experience, right? So if they come in with a track record of success, like, I'll give you an example. Well, we had someone that had been in the industry for 30 years, and they had a track record of success over the last 5, where they were bringing in multi-million dollars a year to that company. And it's simple math. And we anticipate, based on how much total volume they brought in, how much gross profit that could mean to us. And then they get a higher base compensation package. And everyone's a little different in how they compensate their employees. It could be full commission. It could be just 100%, you get a base with no bonus or commission, or somewhere in between. How we do it is we give you a high base comp package based on your experience and what we anticipate you're going to bring. And then we have a break even gross profit number that aligns to a sales or revenue goal that they need to hit at the end of the year. And we break that down into small bites so they can see it and track it a little better. If they blow it out of the water, then we give them a really healthy bonus based on how good the company did as a whole. So, for example, if the company had a bad year, even if they knocked it out of the park, they may not get a big bonus. But if the company knocks it out of the park and they knocked it out of the park, I mean, I've been bonusing some of my salesmen double or or as much as they're making as a base package, so they can get really well compensated. But all right, let's just talk real numbers. If I want $1 million salesman, right? If you're going to sell $1 million from me, and I'm expecting a 40% margin, so 400,000 in gross profit, my expectation is that you're going to probably get compensated somewhere around 75K for that first year. That's your base take home. I have other salesmen that do quite a bit more than that, and they get paid quite a bit more than that. I have several salesmen that work here that are making well over $200,000. So yeah, it depends. It depends.
Yeah. No, that was the answer I thought, but it's good to hear it. And yeah, every scenario is slightly different, but that's helpful. Here's another one. What are kind of guideline margins in your business? This person does primarily residential work, as far as gross profit or net profit. And does it change at certain sizes of jobs?
So gross profit is really the only number that we're concerning our salesmen with when they're bidding projects. We are averaging 40% margins. That's kind of what we're trying to hit. That number will change based on how you do your accounting. It's different for every person, for every company rather. And it should be based on your overhead and what your desired net profit that you're looking to make for the end of the year. Throughout the year we have conversations on, do we want to raise that or lower that based on the volume of the job and how much total revenue we're going to bring it, based on where we're at in the given year, based on our manpower. So that number is always shifting, and in our monthly sales calls we're talking about that. Hey guys, we need to get work in the door. We have capacity. We're going to move into the winter. Let's drop our margins down to 35%. Let's get work. That could be a conversation.
Yeah, that makes sense. I've got one question myself. I'm curious if that concept, and it makes sense, the concept of if you nail your goals but the company doesn't, that does affect your compensation. Have you ever had any issues with that, or do you find? And I would imagine you'd find that would help people see the company as a team
Yeah,
and promote the team
for
atmosphere.
sure. Look, I'll tell you, one of the hardest things that I have to do as a business owner is three things. One is somebody gets hurt. Two is if I have to fire somebody. Or three, if I know that guy worked their ass off, but I can't give them as much money as I want, right? Those are three really difficult things. We had that happen last year. Last year for us was a flat year. It was the first year in 8 years. It was a flat year. And we had some salesmen that crushed it, and they got their base and they got commission or a
Mhm.
bonus, what we provide. It wasn't as big as they had gotten the year before, and they did as much in sales. And it was a tough conversation, but
Yeah.
ultimately they understood. Why? Because we're openly communicating where we're at throughout the year. Guys, sales are down. Sales are down. We're off sales goals. We got to pick it up. We're losing it here. This market's down. We got to push into this market. And because we're very transparent, it makes those conversations easier. It's not a surprise. In fact, a lot of our team members goes, wow, thank you for even giving me this. I wasn't expecting anything this year.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. And if you're using, like, people are recognizing that this extensive process for hiring, then you will have less of the issue of, well, I nailed it, but this guy's no good, or
That's
so
right.
he's affecting my compensation.
Sails and anchors, Jaden. That's what we talk about in this company. You are either sail and you are pushing us forward, or you're an anchor and you're holding us back. We do not tolerate anchors.
Yeah. No, there you go. There's plenty of good quotes here from you, Dave, that we got to
Yeah.
write down. We'll throw them somewhere.
Yeah.
Thank you. We're right at time here, so
Oh, cool.
um, lots of questions, which is great. You created some good conversation here. So thank you so much for being here, for sharing your insights, for volunteering your time. Everyone's going to start to throw their confetti on the screen here for you. And yeah, thanks again. We really appreciate your time and your expertise in the industry.
My pleasure. Yeah, thanks for putting this platform together. Thank you to PaintScout. You guys have been an integral part of our success. I'm so thrilled to have a program like PaintScout at our fingertips that we can use and customize, and it's constantly evolving and training. Yeah, I just moved up on the leaderboard, so watch out,
Woo.
everybody, because come for that top spot.
Thanks again, Dave.
Thank you, everybody. Appreciate your time.